So it obviously prompted a few questions about what's considered socially acceptable in our respective regions. I can't imagine walking down the road and seeing someone, yeah, with a pet pigeon and a Komodo dragon on a leash whilst holding a kid and doing a circus act. How that wouldn't bring attention, I don't know. But in New York, it's just another Tuesday. So I wanted to. Hello, 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 hello. We are back. Another episode. As you've seen recently, we've got some updates that we've been doing on our side, and that's both on YouTube and Spotify. So a reminder for those of you that are new to this platform, the Big Vibe with Tim and Ty, we're on Spotify, YouTube, all of our social media, and we've now introduced polls. So we're making it a lot more interactive and looking to get your feedback and your opinion to some of our really most burning topics, I would say. So please, just a reminder, our previous episodes, you still have some time to give your input on some of those polls, but every successive episode from here on out will have a poll question and a general question that we'd like to get your feedback on. So remember that's Spotify and YouTube. To get things off, oh man, there's a lot going on in this weird and wonderful world we live in. I came across a page on Instagram called What is New York?
Yeah.
Fascinating page. It's essentially the craziest people in the world operating in what looks to be very socially acceptable places. So for instance, you would have someone walking a Komodo dragon on the New York subway.
Yep.
You would have New York cabs and Uber drivers playing a musical instrument whilst driving.
Yeah, in traffic.
And so just a few that came to mind. It's honestly one of the most bizarre things you could ever come across.
Yeah.
If you haven't had a chance, go on Instagram and look at What is New York. But it sparked a question. And before I ask that question, I wanted to say, those of you who have been a part of our journey for the longest time, you know that we mentioned the rat problem that is in New York and them looking to get a rat czar, someone that's going to be essentially the solution to all of their rat problems.
Yeah.
And we've got a newly appointed czar. It's safe to say that her name is Kathleen Corradi, and she has taken up the mantle in leading New York into their new, what do I call it? The new
age, I guess, the rat-free,
the rat-free age of New York City.
Yeah, I was reading up about her, and I know we have a different direction that we want this episode to go in, but something came up while I was reading up about her that I wanted to ask you about. So basically, this woman's story is that she's always been involved in the rat cleanup from when she was a kid. She recounts a story when she was walking with her mom on like a train track, and she saw a rat carcass like on the track, and she was so like, I guess, shook or grossed out or whatever you want to call it by that rat, that she started a petition with the local people in the area to get like the municipality to come do a cleanup. And they did, right? So they came, and she was like, I don't know, 10 years old, and she managed to get this whole area cleaned up of rats. And since then she's had this goal of clearing New York of the rat problem. So I wanted to ask you, is there anything from your childhood that had such an impact on you that it has carried on into, I mean, this woman has built her professional career around this thing. So do you have anything that you can maybe kind of relate to, something that happened that you've kind of carried with you or aim to do?
Aim to do? I think I'll speak on the aim to do part. So growing up in South Africa, we obviously encounter a big gap in the social economic, I guess, space. Let's call it the social economic status and space between demographics. And the one thing that I've always been so curious on, so watching DSTV programs like Extreme Couponing, I think that's what it was.
Okay.
And I wondered, how is it that we don't have something like this integrated in South Africa? So my lifelong dream is to have some kind of campaign, either with a ShopRite, a Checkers, or one of the local supermarkets that allows people to use coupons in order to buy
Okay.
groceries on a monthly basis. I think with South Africa coming under quite a bit of financial strain, it would help a lot of families and communities. And I think
Yeah.
seeing that implemented in action, there'll be a few more aspects to it, but I'd like to see a coupon system being integrated into the African supermarkets to allow people that don't have the financial buy groceries have
Have
an
a coupon.
opportunity to get
Yeah.
like basics. Like,
Okay. That makes sense.
that's
I quite like that. For me, I
right.
think it's quite a simple. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's something that I am actively trying to do, but I think it's just subliminal. We growing up, we moved houses every year. We would move from one house to the next, and what I've noticed is now that I'm older, I try my best not to do that anymore. Like I've found like the importance of just like having roots and settling in, and I just think it's so crazy how like these small things that we notice or that we see or that we experience growing up become such obviously an intricate part of what we have when we're older. So it's not necessarily wanting to be a home owner, because that comes with its own set of headaches, but like just not moving around all the time, I suppose would be my, what would you call it, my rats are full circle moment. I mean, I know I'm not changing the city, but yeah, anyway, let's get back into the
Right.
crux of where we were going for this episode.
Awesome. So it obviously prompted a few questions about what's considered socially acceptable in our respective regions. I can't imagine walking down the road and seeing someone, with a pet pigeon and a Komodo dragon on a leash whilst holding a kid and doing a circus act. How that wouldn't bring attention, I don't know. But in New York, it's just another Tuesday. So I wanted to find out, have you come across anything that you would generally find, less socially acceptable in South Africa, in Thailand? I know
Okay.
previously you've mentioned the fish tank being powered by a Honda motorcycle in order to provide a street dish. So yeah, any other takeaways there?
I think for me, what the first thing, there's a few that come to mind for me. The first thing would probably be the bike culture that's here is obviously like very different to back home. Like you see like entire families, 4, 5, 6 people on a bike with a dog, like just chilling. A dog will sit on the back seat of a bike. That's something that I don't think that you'd see readily in South Africa. The other thing that that we were speaking about the other day is you go to these markets, right? And they have a lot of like delicious food, sometimes food that's a little bit out there. But what took a while for us to get to, and I don't think this would fly in South Africa, was that there would be sushi, right? At these markets. And now these are outside markets. And first of all, the sushi is very, very cheap. It's like, I don't know, 5 Rand a piece on average, 5 Rand, 6 Rand a piece. But the problem is Thailand's a hot country. And this market's open from like, I don't know, 5 until 10 or 11. And the sushi is just sitting there. Now, we've eaten it and we didn't get sick. But I can't imagine all the Karens or all the people in South Africa like willingly going and buying. First of all, 5 Rand sushi would raise like 100 million questions. But secondly, the fact that it's just out there in the sun. You know what I'm saying? Like you gambling with your life out here. So I think those are the 2 things that come to mind for me. How about you?
Yeah, that's brilliant, man. Thailand is the country that keeps on giving, man. Wow. From my side, the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking about this question was the pub culture here. Firstly, seeing kids in pubs is completely different to what you'd expect back home. And similarly, in these pubs, if you have a temperature here that's over, say, 15, 16 degrees Celsius, people are going bare-chested, man. It's wild.
Like no
shirt.
So
people, no shirt. Yeah, people are no shirts sitting on the outside seating area. And you'd also have guys who say, not me, but someone went to the pub in jeans, right?
Yeah.
And they start getting hot. You'd have guys that take their pants off and sit in the boxes or their undies at pubs.
What?
This is a custom throughout the UK. It's wild. I'm like, surely someone has to reprimand you for that. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, and I don't know if this is just a small town or a smaller town thing, but the fact that takeaway places only open up after 5
Yes, you
is
mentioned this before.
the
Yeah.
strangest thing. Like, how do you make business if you're literally only operational between the hours of 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock each night? How
Yeah.
much turnover are you really getting?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and the last thing would be the banking hours. So, sometimes if you have any disputes or any queries for your bank account, you'd have to go in person sometimes. You'd have to
Yeah.
actually go into a branch, speak to an attendant or whatever they are, and have your issue cleared.
Also,
Their hours run from 9 o'clock until 3 or 4. So if you're working, by the time you leave work, there's never going to be a day that
You're
you
not
make
gonna
the
make
bank
it.
in time. You must take leave in order to go and sort out your bank disputes in person.
yo, but what time
Wow.
do they close back home? Oh, Saturdays.
home you
There was
could-
always Saturday morning as well. You could go. I think from 8 to 12 it was open as well.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
yeah.
I was like, come on, man. What's
That
going
makes
on?
sense. That makes sense. I
That's
find,
wild.
yeah. Also, sometimes the hours are a bit different, but just because it's hot, so it is. But I mean, there's still way more than like just 4 hours. But that actually brings us round to I see the next question that we wanted to discuss here. And it's such a nice thing. We're talking about the things that we think perhaps are maybe not socially acceptable here. It makes you think of back home and what we love about back home, and some of the most weird, wonderful, incredible things that we remember from back home. Do you have anything that comes to mind for you, like that you feel like is just there and stands out to you?
First thing that was so noticeable when I came here was, one, we don't have our guys at the robots. And for you people that are listening that aren't from South Africa, robots are what we use to describe traffic lights.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Star Wars wasn't shot there because that would have been the most disappointing robotics movie in the world. But at the robot, you'd have someone selling the most arbitrary items. So you'd be in Joburg city center, and someone would have the catalog of a beach ball.
Yep.
Bubble machines,
Gun
definitely
that blew the bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah, the bubble gun. A bootleg version of Scrabble. I think it was called Squabble at one time. It doesn't come with a bird on it, like a plastic sheet. But you get tires still, so for like $30, I think it's a good deal.
Okay. Yeah.
But the general salespeople at traffic lights are robots. I miss that. Very
Do you
unique.
know-
I don't think anyone would.
For me, the most arbitrary thing that they used to sell were those foot bricks. Those things that you use to clean your foot, like to rub the dead skin off the bottom of your foot. You get. I always think to myself, like when you're driving and you see someone there, it's like, oh, you know what? I was actually just on my way to go buy that. You saved me the
Mate.
trip of needing to buy
Mate.
the. And sometimes that would be all the man sells. Like that's his entire catalog. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not trying to, like belittle the situation or whatever, but I was just like, whoa, this is so
It's bad.
specific. This is such a specific thing to sell,
Yes, like it's mental. It's honestly one of the craziest things. Trying to think of a few other ones. Have you
There's
got any in mind?
there's a guy on Instagram. He's quite cool. I'll send you. His name is Doofcake. And he puts like a filter on where he looks like a bust, like a statue from like I don't guess the Roman times or whatever. And he often talks a lot about like these wild animals and stuff. And he has a very, very hectic South African accent, and he puts it on with the way he does. But he did a really cool one the other day where he came on and he was like because he's now an expat. He lives overseas. And he basically is like, yes, it's my bro. Let me just tell you, I just got back to South Africa and I've been living in what you would consider a first world country, my bro. But let me tell you, nothing compares to a Woolies, my bro. And he goes on talking about how like he's been around the world and he's been traveling, but there's just no experience like going into a Woolies. I don't know if you found anything like we have here. Like we have like Tesco's and stuff and Big C, which is kind of like entry level supermarkets. Then you have like a kind of upper market, which is called tops, which is a bit more expensive and you get more variety. And then you have the top, which is called like villa market, which has all imports, like literally from all around the world, all sorts of like exciting, I guess, Pop-Tarts and all this stuff from around the world. But even so, I would say that the villa markets that I've been to don't compare to a Woolies, Maru. Nothing comes close. I must just say.
Oh, the Woolies is the epitome of a
You
supermarket.
made it. You made it. Mama,
We've
made
actually
it.
got one that's very similar. It's called Marks and Spencer. Even in the typography and how they branded themselves looks very similar to Woolies. And some of the items, I'll actually do a shop next time I'm in M&S and put it on our social media. People can then see it's almost like a replica.
Okay.
Like your high-end, like it's very expensive in comparison to other supermarkets. But the quality, bro.
Do you shop there? Do you shop at a Marks and Spencer?
When I'm feeling luxurious, man, I go and spoil ourselves there with a steak. Or we love their ready meals.
Okay.
Like it's night and day. If you go to a Tesco and you get a ready meal versus a Marks and Spencer, quality.
Does it scratch the Woolies itch though?
It does. It's there. It's on par. I'm like, now I'm just missing those Woolies donuts. You know, the ones with the
round ones.
Yes.
Those ones, yes.
That's all I need. Just a few of those intricate
And they've expanded their range of chuckles. I don't know. You were just there not too long ago, so you know that everyone loves a chuckle. Now there's a chuckle slab, and there's a chuckle ice cream, and there's a chuckle everything. So Woolies has expanded its range, and the overpriced rotisserie chickens are still there. I know. But you say Marks and Spencer's does the thing. My sister now, obviously, she lives in New Zealand. She says she can't find anything. It's all a lot more like artisanal and stuff there. So I guess it's a little bit different. So we'll see now on my gallivanting around the world, like what I actually happen to see. But what would be the opposite of Woolies, perhaps, would be, I guess, the Florida man.
Oh, the legend that is Florida man. I think we've all come across many a story about Florida man. And in speaking about weird, crazy, yet wonderful people, we've come across our favorite headlines that featured this prominent figure that is Florida man.
The Florida man.
That don't know Florida man, it's not one specific person. There are just many accounts of outrageous activity happening in the state of Florida in the USA. And we've picked out our favorites. So I'll start this off. The headline reads, thousands of gun owners in Florida planning to shoot down Hurricane Irma. The subject is, let's show Irma how we shoot first, states the Facebook event. So, I think this is probably the epitome of
Florida man taking matters into his own hands.
Taking matters literally into his Second Amendment right.
I saw one.
Rightly.
Yeah. I saw one that's also similar, I guess, to weaponry, but a Florida man charged with assault with a deadly weapon after throwing alligator through Wendy's drive-through window. What's the thinking here, mate? Where are you going? What's
really that bad?
Also,
they really get it.
What are you doing?
That wrong.
What are you doing when you're at a Wendy's, right? And you just chilling, you eating your burger or wherever, and next thing, just a flat alligator hits the floor. What are you doing?
I'm out, boy. I'm out. That's it.
You jetting.
This is management's problem now. This is beyond my pay grade. There's no ways I still try and make heads or tails of the situation. They can't ask
heads or tails. See what
Not
you did.
Florida,
this goes
man.
back to that episode where we spoke about animals we could take in a fight, and clearly you backed down.
Definitely not taking out an alligator.
From an alligator in a
Wendy's. You take him on?
For who though? Like what am I trying to achieve here? What am I trying to protect?
Minimum wage. Nah.
Oh, I work at the Wendy's. You work at the
Wendy's. You're the one that's working at the Wendy's.
I must deal with this. Nah. For minimum wage, $14 an hour. Almost like Steve Irving, jump on it, crocodile. No.
Yes. No wage. No
I'm
ways.
good. I'm good.
The next headline that we found was Florida man in no seriously I have drugs t-shirt was arrested for possession of drugs. There's a man standing in a t-shirt that says, "No, anyone know who's selling drugs?" And he's like, "No, really, because I have drugs on me." And he wore this into a law enforcement office, I think it was, and he eventually got arrested for having possession of drugs.
I guess it's like a clever, like, little marketing thing, I suppose. Like, if you wanted people to know, I think that could work at a party. I could see how that was a good idea at a party.
That's
but
hiding in plain sight right there.
yeah, well, I don't know why he went in. But okay, so now let's say this guy got arrested. That leads into our next one. Florida man breaks into jail to hang out with his friends. You doing that? You missing me? You missing me, my boy?
Bruh, I'm missing you too much. I must come and spend some quality time beyond what is the arranged visiting hours.
Yeah, you come in and you can drop off the mic so that we can carry on vibing together. No stress.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. You know it. You know it. But then that led us to the next thing, which is the Florida man birthday test. For those people that haven't done this, you should try it. You go on to Google and you type Florida man and you put in your birthday and you see what story comes out. So Tev, what was yours?
So my one was Florida man bites off girlfriend's thumb on the way to Taco Bell. The context here is during the course of the drive down from work, they got into a verbal argument and she basically became upset. She kind of pushed his head and he responded by biting her. Yvonne Martinez, the department spokesperson, tells Florida Today. He bit her thumb completely off and spat it out on the floorboard.
Yo, can you imagine? Getting
into an argument with Lisa, and I'm just like, yes.
What are you doing if she bit your thumb off? What are we doing?
How do you shook? Honestly, just be shook.
How do you deal?
Like, I'd be speechless. I'm just like, and now what must I do?
Apparently they took her to the hospital and stuff and they couldn't put it back on. So like it was gone. She lost her thumb.
There's no coming back from that. We're done. There's no coming back.
Yeah. Even now at this stage, married and all, is it you can't work through it?
Then you must invest in one of those
prosthetic thumbs.
Yeah. I need that top-notch tech there, bro.
Okay, well, here's mine. Maybe a little less violent, although violent in its own way. Florida suspect, 22, allegedly attacked his mother with sausages. So basically what happened was a hungry 22-year-old man who allegedly pelted his mother with sausages because she accidentally bumped into him while making his dinner.
Have you ever been that mad, bruh? Sausages.
Hey,
at someone.
What was that? What was that disease that was going around in South Africa? That came from the polony.
Listeriosis.
Listeriosis. So not only are you throwing a sausage,
just catching Enterprise Viennas here, ducking and bobbing and viewing Enterprise Viennas.
But also, I really like hot dogs, man. So I don't see myself throwing them either. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a waste of food here that we're talking about.
Yes, today. What's going on in Florida, man?
Hey, what a place to be.
But for all things weird and wonderful, in rounding this off, we have to talk about a moment that's always wholesome, a wholesome moment or takeaway. And we spoke about very unique instances that happened in South Africa, and how could we not talk about the elephant in the dark room that is load shedding. We obviously know the challenges that load shedding presents, but as true South Africans, we always look to make something good out of a particularly challenging or tough situation.
Yep.
And I found an article by jawsykids.co.za about the positives of load shedding. So we have a few benefits here. I'll run through a number of them. So the first is spending less time on devices. We don't have the distraction of technology. We can have some real quality face-to-face time with family and friends. Less noise pollution, less light pollution. We can go to sleep earlier, so getting those 8 hours of sleep. Remember, we're looking to
keep young.
Exactly. Linked to our previous episode. We did there.
Nice plug.
Taking a break from working, it brings people together. It gives us something to talk about. It also teaches people to toughen up a bit. Is here.
Wow.
More family time.
Candlelit dinners.
Exactly. That
Bring
brings
the
us
romance
to
back.
an interesting account that I heard about one relationship that absolutely did a 180. So they were on the brink of separation and divorce. It was just getting so hectic. I mean, they were living past each other in the busyness of the day-to-day, and the fortunate outcome of load shedding meant that they had to spend a lot more time together. They had a lot more time to talk through their issues, but also focus on the reasons why they are together as a couple, and that has fueled them. They're in a much better space, and that's all thanks to the, let's call it, the benefits of load shedding.
Hey, Escom, the gift that keeps giving, man. The gift that keeps giving. I was about to say it's all well and fine for us to sit here and talk about it when we're not experiencing it, but you've had it a little bit, haven't you? Or were they
I
talking
had one
about
instance. It was it wasn't as long, but we are due to get it in the coming year.
Okay.
This coming year.
Hopefully not around November when it's cold, and hopefully not around that time. But so far be it for us to tell people to be positive about it when we don't have it. But if you are looking for some little bit of what you could do, go check out Josie Kids. That's quite a cool little trying to put a spin on it. I like the candlelit dinners, playing board games. And I also saw what's quite cool is the number of industries that are being born out of it, like the opportunities that are being made. Like some people made like these like rechargeable batteries, these like special like lights. Oh, that was the thing. It was these light bulbs that they put in the house that this person invented, that it charged. It had a little battery in it, so when you put your light on with electricity, it charged. And then when the power died, the lights had a little battery in it, so you still had lights. So yeah, there's like little innovations that came out of that. So it's not all lost in the darkness.
And speaking of inspirational light bulb moments, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with a friend. We're looking to build our communities. We're looking to grow ourselves in this light. We're looking to brighten up everyone's day, everyone's lives. This is done through sharing, liking, subscribing, and answering those poll questions. Those poll questions are really key to us understanding where you guys sit on some of these topics that we bring to the fore.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's all we can say. I think that's a great place to wrap things up, and just a big thank you for all of those that have been with us for this episode.
And you stuck through it to the end. Love you lots. See you next time.
Hey, yo.